Ah, I forgot to turn the light on. Okay. Turn my light on real quick.
Hello, hello.
Ugh. Hello, YouTube. It's Andre the West here. My friend last night DC. Checking to see if I'm live. I am live. Excellent. All right. Let me get the thought experiment going.
Your garage. You need me to bring you a ride? I'll bring it by.
Switching faces with sky being just building up the prompt in this story share will be and the lion. Shere Khan materialized on the jagged cliffs of the Pride Lands, replacing Scar. Unlike the scheming lion, the tiger lived by brutal instinct, unbothered by Simba's fate. Khan claimed the throne by pure menace. To him, the barren plains and hungry hyenas were simply a new kingdom to rule through raw, undivided fear. A new order. The Pride Lands were a far cry from the lush, law-abiding jungles of his past. Scar had left the savannah in ruins, but the moment Shere Khan padded down into the shadows of Pride Rock, a tense silence fell over the wasteland. The hyenas, baffled and terrified by this striped leviathan, huddled in the shadows, realizing their new king didn't make deals. Khan didn't need to manipulate. His sheer size and smoldering gaze forced the scavengers to fall in the line. The law of the jungle. Shere Khan gathered the surviving lionesses and issued a proclamation that shook the gorge. He had no time for political alliances or throne room drama. Instead, he treated the Pride Lands exactly as he treated the Indian jungle, demanding absolute respect, maintaining a strict natural order, and declaring himself the undisputed apex of the circle. When water grew scarce, he did not rely on magic or spells. He marched down to the remaining watering holes, scaring off intruders and imposing his own harsh discipline. For a breakdown on who holds the advantage in the physical battle between these two legendary Disney predators, check. Okay. The lions return. When the young exiled Prince Simba returned to reclaim his homeland, he fully expected to face the treacherous uncle who had stolen his birthright. Instead, emerging from the smoky haze of a lightning-sparked fire was a monster the lion has never seen before. A gigantic, wrathful Bengal tiger. Shere Khan stood completely still, his eyes narrowing, the flames... Wow, it's really jumping the whole thing down to like a short story. The flames flickering around the Pride Lands sparked his deepest, most primal fear, but his hunter's instinct overpowered his panic. With a roar that rotted the bones of the elephants, the tiger lunged at the young lion, turning the reclamation of Pride Rock into a primal clash between the two. Shere Khan killed Simba. The hyenas are... No, wait. And lionesses to obey the tiger for years to come. Yeah, it's like when you're reading it out and then suddenly you get the screeching halt. Shere Khan's claws slashed through the smoky haze, ending a brief rebellion before it could even truly begin. Simba's body fell from the peak of Pride Rock, leaving the savannah in stunned, absolute silence. There would be no miraculous return of the king. An era of lions had ended, and the reign of the striped tyrant had begun. The absolute monarchy. With the rightful heir gone, Shere Khan established a regime built entirely on terror. He did not share power with the hyenas like Scar did. Instead, he reduced them to lowly, desperate scavengers who only ate his leftovers. The lionesses, grieving but fiercely protective of their remaining cubs, chose survival over extinction and bowed to the tiger. For years, Khan ruled from the peak of High Rock, the changing savannah. Under Shere Khan's dominion, life in the Pride Lands transformed directly. Strict territory lines. Khan mapped out rigid hunting boundaries that no animal dared cross. Controlled hunting. The lionesses only hunt under his direct command to prevent total depletion of the herds. Hyena subjugation. Shenzi, Banzi, and Ed were forced to live on the absolute fringes, starved into complete obedience. No law but Khan's. You know, I'm going to change the narrative here a little bit. The legend of the Striped King. As seasons passed, the drought finally broke, and the rains returned to wash away. Shere Khan becomes infatuated with one particular lioness named Shizan. As a result, Shere Khan becomes more friendly?
Timid.
No. Timid means fearful or cautious. As a result, Shere Khan becomes more... He becomes less fear... He becomes more reasonable. Reasonable and approachable. Shazan, as a result, Shere Khan becomes more approachable. As the two cats become a family, Shere Khan had a liger son. Damn it. Not Luger. What the hell? Shut up. Liger son named... Oh, God.
Just call him Liger.
No. Damn it. That's not... There. Liger son named... Flinge.
Steve.
No, I'm going to call it Flinge. Shere Khan had a liger son named Flinge. Alright, here we go. The terrifying rule of the Striped King took an unexpected turn where Shere Khan's gaze fell upon a fiercely independent lioness named Shizan. Unlike the others who cowered, Shizan stood her ground with a quiet dignity that fascinated the tiger. Her presence softened the sharp edges of his brutal nature, transforming the Pride Lands from a kingdom of fear into a true home. The softening of the tyrant. Shizan's influence of... I've already immediately regret naming the lioness Shizan. Shizan's influence over Shere Khan changed the daily life of every creature in the savannah. Open audiences. Khan began listening to the grievances of the lionesses instead of ruling by executive decree. Fair distribution. Food and water were shared more equitably. ensuring the pride is no longer starved. Controlled temper. The tiger's legendary bone-chilling roars grew less frequent, replaced by a calm, imposing presence. Pardon for scavengers. Even the hyenas found their treatment improved, provided they respected the borders. The birth of Flange. Dude, trying to come up with names right on the spot is just dumb, but, like, whatever. The ultimate symbol of this new era arrived
Could
when the
have called
birth
him
of their
Spike.
with the birth of their son Flange. As a liger, Flange grew at an astonishing rate, quickly dwarfing both his mother and his father. He possessed his father's striking dark stripes layered over. No, wait, isn't a liger? Oh shit! Just
Oh,
realized. No, a liger is a male
part.
lion and a female tiger. Oh my god, I forgot about that. It's a tigon. It's supposed to be a tigon. A male tiger and a female lion having a cub together would be a tigon. And technically speaking, a tigon is actually smaller, I think. But you know what? I already wrote it down. It doesn't matter. What's done is done. I'm not
Just
going back
roll
to
with it.
change. I'm not going back to change the narrative. Like you said, I'm rolling with this. Dark stripes layered over a quick sandy gold coat, along with the beginnings of a proud muscular chest. Khan looked at his massive son not as a rival, but with a deep, unprecedented sense of fatherly pride. A new legacy for the Pride Lands. With Shazan at his side and Flames growing stronger by the day, Shere Khan completely abandoned his old solitary ways. He spent his afternoons teaching Flames how to stalk through the tall savanna grass. One day, a large pride of lions invaded the Pride Lands and began to hunt and kill anything they see. When news hit Shere Khan, he was furious. Obviously. When Shere Khan told his son to stay with the lionesses, he refused and wanted to fight. Shere Khan realized that his son would make a good king and accept Flange's offer. The two cats went to confront the invading pride and had dialogue. Damn it. Dialogue. Oh, crap. There we go. That's how you spell it. Ignore that. The lead lion that's invading the Pride Lands is a dark-colored lion named You pick the name for this lion. Remember, think of something a Disney lion name. I already kind of screwed up with the names for the female lioness, with the lioness, Shere Khan's
Hmm.
wife, and then his son, Flange.
It's a male lion, right?
Yes, it's a dark-colored male lion, similar to Scar, like a dark-colored lion with a black mane.
Dark mane, huh? Uh,
Dirk mane.
no. How about Death Knight?
Screw it. I don't care. Death Knight. I'm gonna call him Death Knight as in DETH Knight. As in Death Knight, DETHNITE. Death Knight. Death Knight. Jesus, I'm already dying over here. Death
Is either that
Knight
or midnight? Is either that or midnight?
explained to Shere Khan and his son that there was nothing left for them back at their home. Alright, let's see how this plays out. The peaceful era of the Striped King was shattered when a massive, desperate vanguard of rogue lions breached the borders, slaughtering the herds indiscriminately. Shere Khan's fury shook the foundations of Pride Rock. Fearing for his family, Khan ordered his son Flange to remain behind with Shazan and the lionesses. But the massive young liger fiercely refused, demanding to stand by his father's side. Looking at Flange's God damn it, dude. Flange's fierce determination, Khan realized his son possessed the true heart of a leader and accepted his aid. Together, the two massive cats marched out to confront the invaders. In confrontation at the border. At the edge of the decimated valley, Shere Khan and Flange blocked the path of the invading force. Stepping forward from the ranks of the hostile pride was their leader, a massive, dark-furred lion with cold eyes named Death Knight. The dialogue. Oh God. You trespass in a kingdom that does not belong to you. Death Knight, turn back or your blood will soak the soil you hunt upon. Death Knight, stepping closer, gesturing to his gaunt followers. Look at us, Tiger. There is nowhere left to turn. A great blight took our homeland. The rivers turn to dust, and the bones of our prey are bleached in the sun. There is nothing back for us back there. We hunt to survive. Flange, stepping in front of his father, his massive liger frame towering over the dark lion. Survival does not justify slaughter. You kill without respect for the land. If you want a home, you negotiate. You do not conquer. Death Knight, looking up at the giant liger, his eyes narrowing. Negotiation is for the weak, half-breed. Oh, God, that's so... Dude. The savannah belongs to the strongest predator. If you want us gone, you have to kill us all. Wow, that got dark real fast. The tension rises. The air grew thick with hostility as Death Knight's pride began to fan out. Sensing an imminent clash, despite the overwhelming numbers against him, Shere Khan stood shoulder to shoulder with his giant son, ready to unleash their full fury. Right. Shere Khan and Flange fought. Oops. The invading lions with everything they got. Death Knight was wounded with a massive lacerations across his body. Death Knight retreated with some of his lion allies. And Death Knight retreat. Okay, with massive lacerations across. And Death Knight retreated. Death Knight was wounded with massive lacerations, and Death Knight retreated with some of his lion allies. Shere Khan and Flangy killed 5 of the invading lions. But Flange was mortally... Oops, damn it, that's mortally... Oh, wounded. Cher looks in pure despair as his only son lays dying. The battlefield fell silent, save for the heavy, ragged breathing of the two defenders. Death Knight fled into the tall grass, bleeding heavily from massive lacerations across his chest and face, followed by a handful of his terrified allies. Shere Khan and Flange had fought with unmatched ferocity, leaving 5 of the invading lions dead and on the stained earth. But as adrenaline faded, the true cost of victory became painfully clear. A father's worst nightmare. Flange collapsed onto the blood-soaked savanna, his massive liger frame shaking. The mortal wounds inflicted by the overwhelming numbers of the invading pride poured crimson onto the soil. Shere Khan, the apex predator who had never shown fear, felt a cold, paralyzing dread grip his heart. He dropped to his knees beside his son, his eyes wide with pure desperation. The final moments. Shere Khan nuzzling his son's head frantically, his voice cracking with panic. Hold on, Flange. Look at me. Your mother is coming. You are the prince of this land. You cannot leave it. Flange, breathing heavily, a weak but prideful smile on his face. We saved them, father. We protected the pride. I do not care about the pride. I care about my son. Flange, please. The loss of a prince. With a final gentle exhale, the giant liger's eyes closed, and his body went entirely still. Shogun pressed his forehead against his son's cold shoulder, and for the first time in his life, the tiger did not roar in anger. Instead, a low, heartbroken moan escaped his throat, echoing across the empty plains. Shizan and the other lionesses arrived just in time to see the tragic sight, their own mournful cries joining the wind as the striped tiger king wept for his fallen. Shizan declared that she is carrying another prince, but is still mourning from the loss of her son. Shere Khan went to the fringes of the Pride Lands and spoke to the hyenas. I am down a rabbit hole, guys. Just bear with me on this. The hyenas agreed to act as scouts in exchange for sanctuary in the Pride Lands. The dark clouds of grief over Pride Rock parted slightly when Shizan made a stunning announcement. She was carrying another prince. Yet the joy was deeply bittersweet. Her heart remained broken from the loss of Flange, and she spent her days mourning their fallen son. Knowing his family was vulnerable and Death Knight is still out there, Shere Khan realized he could no longer guard the borders alone. He took a path he never thought he would tread, straight into the barren fringes of the Pride Lands to find the hyenas. The Treaty of the Fringes. The hyenas cowered as the massive tiger emerged from the silos from their dusty canyons. They expected wrath, but instead Khan offered them a calculated position. Shere Khan, Death Knight is out there, wounded and desperate. I cannot watch the borders and protect Shizan at the I immediately regret naming her Shizan. At the same time, you will be my eyes and ears. Shinzi.
You could have called her Sajizzle.
No, that's worse. That is worse. Shinzi, squinting suspiciously. But you know what? I don't even care because leave the names on some of these hyenas. And what do we get for sticking our necks out, Tiger? Scar promised us everything and gave us dust. Scar was a coward who hid behind you. I am offering a direct trade. Act as my scouts. Alert me the moment Death Knight or his allies cross the border. And you will be granted permanent sanctuary and hunting rights within the fertile zones of the Pride Lands. A new dynamic. Realizing this was their only chance as a stable future, the hyenas eagerly agreed to the pact. They immediately fanned out along the borders, forming a vast, laughing network of lookouts. For the first time in history, tigers, lions, and hyenas worked in tandem, driven by the memory of Flange and the hope of his unborn cub. Shere Khan transformed his grief into hypervigilance. Let's see. Shizan's. Damn it! I hate that name already. Shizan's new cub was born. It's a baby girl. Shizan named her
Jesse.
No, come on, a good animal name. It's a baby girl.
How about
Shizan,
Amber?
Yes, Amber. I love it. Amber. The beautiful baby liger cub Amber was born. Shere Khan couldn't be happier. Oh my god, it's like I feel like I'm just writing a whole new story. I actually kind of like this, twisting the Disney characters around a little bit. The heavy clouds of morning finally lifted from Pride Rock, where Shizan gave birth. God, I feel stupid saying that name. To everyone's surprise, the new prince was actually a beautiful baby girl. Shizan named her Amber, a fitting title for a cub whose coat shimmered like golden resin in the savannah sun. The birth of Amber. Amber was a breathtakingly beautiful low-eager cub. She inherited her mother's elegant feline grace and her father's striking shadow-dark stripes, which dusted her legs and back. Shere Khan, once the coldest and most feared predator in the jungle, couldn't be happier. The moment he looked down at the tiny purring bundle, the lingering grief over Flange found a place to heal. He nuzzled his new daughter with immense tenderness, his deep purr vibrating through the cavern. A heavily guarded paradise. With a new life to protect, the security of the Pride Lands reached its absolute peak. Hyena escorts. The hyenas, faithful to their sanctuary pact, kept a constant circling around Pride Rock to ensure no threats approached. The tiger's shadow. Shere Khan rarely left Shezan and Amber's side, transforming from a conquering tyrant into a fiercely devoted protector. A rejuvenated pride. The lionesses welcomed the newborn princess with open arms, seeing as a symbol of hope and rebirth for their kingdom. Years have passed, and Amber has grown to a teenager.
Young adult.
A what?
Young adult.
I was gonna go with teenager because I wanna add some angst in this. Amber was full of angst. Yep. And had a tendency to annoy the hyenas sometimes. Shere Khan desperately tried to coax Amber to be more royal, to be more. All right, Lady. No, come on.
How about proper?
Proper, yes, but is not working. Shere Khan, over the years, has become soft and Shere Khan over the years has become soft and is unable to protect his kingdom
Due to age.
due to aging. Oh, yep, there's actual pictures of Shere Khan. I'm seeing actual pictures of Shere Khan. I actually forget, he's a pretty cool looking tiger. I remember when I was a kid, when I watched the Jungle Book, I liked Shere Khan. I like tigers. Years melted away across the savannah, transforming the Pride Lands once more. Amber grew from a beautiful cub into a rebellious, angsty teenager. She possessed immense physical potential, but her attitude was a nightmare for her traditional parents. Shere Khan, once the epitome of ruthless discipline, found himself completely powerless against his daughter's teenage defiance. The rebel princess. Amber spent her days pushing every boundary imaginable. Instead of practicing her stalking or learning the royal protocols of the kingdom, she found entertainment in making life miserable for their patrols. Hyena hazing. Amber loved sneaking up on the hyena scouts, deliberately triggering their hysterical laughter or knocking over their lookout rock piles. Ignoring the tiger. Whenever Shere Khan tried to give her stern lectures on becoming a proper, dignified leader, she would simply roll her eyes, flick her striped tail, and saunter away. The failed coaxing. Khan's booming voice, which once made elephants tremble, now only elicited annoyed groans from his teenage daughter. The softening and aging of Khan. The heavy toll of time had caught up with the great tiger. Raising a family and finding peace with Shezan had permanently softened Shere Khan's sharp, predatory edge. His once glistening orange coat was now frosted with gray. His massive paws moved with a heavy stiffness, and his stamina was a fraction of what it used to be. He could no longer patrol the vast borders himself or chase down agile intruders. His kingdom was almost at its most vulnerable, relying entirely on an aging domestic tiger and a rebellious teenager. Shadows of the Horizon. While Amber playfully annoyed Shinzi and Banzi, the hyenas began to notice some troubling. The border scouts reported unfamiliar scents and distant, echoing roars that sounded terribly similar. where with Shere Khan too old to fight and Amber refusing to grow up, the peace in Amber and okay, on the fringes of the Pride lands, the hyenas tell Amber that Death Knight and his pride must be nearby. Amber sees the look on their faces and realize they're not they're serious. Amber rushes back home to alert her father, but Shere Khan is dying. Here we go. The playful facade Amber wore completely shattered on the barren fringes of the kingdom. Seeing the genuine wide-eyed terror on the faces of Shinzi and Banzi, she finally realized the danger was real. Death Knight had returned. Panic gripping her heart, the teenage Liger sprinted back towards Pride Rock faster than she had ever before, desperate to warn her father. A heartbreaking return. Amber burst into the cavern of Pride Rock, her breath hitching on her throat. She expected to find her massive father standing tall, ready to defend their home. Instead, she found Shere Khan lying weakly on his side, his breathing shallow in his once mighty frame looking frail. Shezan knelt beside him, her face filled with quiet sorrow. The great Liger was dying of old age, his body finally giving out after years of ruling and protecting the plains. The final passing. Amber, tears welling in her eyes, throwing herself at his side. Father! Father! You have to get up. That dark lion, Death Knight? The hyenas said he's at the border. He's coming! Shere Khan, slowly opening his clouded eyes, lifting a heavy graying paw to touch her face. Let him come. My time in this jungle has ended, Amber. No, I'm sorry I didn't listen to you. I don't know how to be a proper ruler. I can't protect the pride without you. Shere Khan, a faint, proud purr rumbling in his chest. You are a liger, the blood of a jungle in the savannah. You are stronger than you know. Look after your mother. With a final lengthy exhale, the legendary Shere Khan closed his eyes for the last time. The new queen rises. Shezan let a mournful cry, nuzzling her lifelong partner as the great tiger passed into legend. Amber stood over her father's body, wiping her tears away as the sun. The angsty teenager was gone, replaced by a grieving daughter who now had to face her brother's killer alone. Outside, the distant mocking roars of Death Knight's inviting pride echoed through the canyon, signaling that the battle of the Pride Lands has officially begun. Amber gathered as many allies as she can. Amber was able to recruit an army of, you know what, I'm gonna do it, meerkats and elephants. Yeah, I'm going there. Elephants.
What about rhinos?
I was about to say rhinos too. Meerkats, elephants, and rhinos.
The meerkats won't be all that useful in the fight, but they'd be good for scouting.
Amber told the meerkats to mount to work with the hyenas,
Well, the
coordinate
boar.
with
By the
the
way,
what what
the warthogs would be actually be better because they're more dangerous than hyenas.
yeah, I'm just working with I'm already kind of like Amber told the meerkats to coordinate. Damn it, coordinate with the hyenas. Yeah, I could do that. Well, I already. Let's see. Amber told the meerkats to coordinate with the hyenas and warthogs. Warthogs to serve as mounts. Damn it, it's warthogs, not warthog. So many autocorrect. And Amber told the meerkats to coordinate with the hyenas. Oh, okay. Damn it. As Death Knight and his pride move in into the Pride lands, he sees Amber standing on Pride Rock with an army of animals behind her. I'll turn my chair off for a few bit. The teenage rebel vanished completely, replaced by a fierce strategic commander. Driven by the memory of her father and her brother, Amber utilized her unique position as a Liger, a bridge between different worlds, to unite the entire savannah. The Alliance of the Plains. Amber then just asked the Alliance for help. She marched across the kingdom and rallied every species that had enjoyed peace under Shere Khan's later years. The Heavy Cavalry. She convinced the massive rhinos and elephants to join the front lines, turning their raw strength into a living wall. The Recon Units. She recruited an army of quick-witted meerkats to serve as underground eyes and ears for the outreach. The Shock Troops. Amber coordinated a brilliant tactical pairing, instructing the meerkats to team up with the hyenas and warthogs. Oh shit! Oh, that beeping. What the hell? Dude, are you seeing that shadow?
I,
Uh,
s-
okay.
I see one right there. It's just a shadow from the mountain. Go behind, sun going behind the mountains.
Alright. Amber coordinated a brilliant tactical pairing, instructing the meerkats to team up with the hyenas and warthogs, utilizing the swifter animals as battle mounts for rapid coordinated strikes. The standoff at Pride Rock. Death Knight and his scarred, hungry pride marched confidently into the heart of Pride Lands, fully expecting an empty throne room and a defenseless kingdom. Instead, as the Dark Lion stepped into the main valley, he stopped dead in his tracks. Standing boldly on Pride Rock was Amber. Her golden striped fur shimmered under the bruised, stormy sky, and her massive liger frame loomed larger than any lion Death Knight had ever seen. Behind her, stretching across the entire horizon, stood her united army. Elephants trumpeted, rhinos stomped the earth, an organized legion of hyenas, warthogs, and meerkats growled in perfect unison. Death Knight looked at the teenage princess, realizing too late that he wasn't facing a broken kingdom. He was facing an absolute wrath of the jungle and the savannah combined. Death Knight had an army of vicious lions and the two armies clashed in a grand melee as the two oops as the battle unfolds. No, wait. As the battle continues, Amber sought out Death Knight, and the two cats fought. Amber overpowered Death Knight and killed him in in battle. Death Knight's lion brethren watched in horror and surrendered. The stormy sky clashed with the dust of the savannah as Death Knight unleashed his army of vicious, battle-hardened lions. With a deafening roar, the two massive forces collided in a grand melee. Rhinos and elephants plowed through the enemy lines like living battering rams. Hyenas and warhogs, guided by the quick-witted meerkats riding on their backs, executed flawless flanking maneuvers, throwing Death Knight's forces into utter chaos. The clash of leaders. Amongst the swirling dust and blood of the grand melee, Amber's amber eyes locked onto the dark fur of her target. Sprinting through the madness of the battlefield, the teenage liger leaped directly into Death Knight's path. Death Knight, bearing his blood-stained fangs. You're just a child. You cannot stop the true kings of this land. Amber says, this is for Flange and this is for Shere Khan. Dumb. The two apex predators tore into each other. Death Knight fought with the desperate, vicious ferocity of a rogue who had nothing left to lose, but Amber possessed the unmatched size of a liger, the royal dignity of her mother, Shazan, and the raw, unstoppable power of her father, Shere Khan. She absorbed Death Knight's strikes, completely overpowering the Dark Lion with a barrage of devastating claw swipes. With a final, crushing pounce, Amber pinned Death Knight to the earth and delivered a lethal blow, ending his reign of terror forever. The surrender. A sudden heavy silence rippled across the battlefield. Death Knight's lion brethren stopped mid-strike, watching in absolute horror as their undisputed leader fell lifeless into the dust at the paws of a teenager. Realizing they were completely outnumbered and outmatched by a giant princess and her united army, the surviving invading lions dropped their heads, collapsed their defensive stances, and surrendered unconditionally. A new era begins. Amber stood tall over the deafening rogue, her breathing heavily as her golden striped coat caught the breaking sunlight. The war was won. She had avenged her brother, honored her father's memory, and saved her mother's kingdom. Walking back to the steps of Pride Rock, the young queen looked out over the elephants, rhinos, hyenas in deep respect. The legacy of Shere Khan lived on, secured by the fierce and brilliant liger queen of the Pride Lands. I'm going to say that ended pretty good. I do got to go use the bathroom, though.
Same.
Be right back, everybody. Come on, Gracie. I got to get up. I got to get up. Come on. I got to get up. I got to get up. Don't take my chair. Mute. I'm back. Alright. Turn my chair back on. Alright. Now that that story is concluded, that was actually pretty satisfying. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just picturing this in my head. I like the idea of adding Shere Khan into the Lion King because, like, if you think about it, Shere Khan in actuality would be just a brutal tyrant. But I wanted to spin the narrative to fit more family friendly, but still make it adult themed at the same time. And why did I pick a daughter? Dynamic. Let's see. A story about lore. No, I'm gonna try not to have Warframe for this. Story about. Okay, actually, hold on a second. Shit. Go back to my you and I dialogue with ADD and armed. Alright, in this fictional story, oh, wait, actually, I'm going to keep that scenario, and then I'm going to have it told as a story. In this fictional scenario, my friend and I are equipped with full plate armor. I am 38 with a heavy, slender build. I am autistic with high IQ and ADD, and armed with a heavy flames mace and shield. My friend is 34. He has a... Okay, instead of a saber and a katana, and what armor do you want? You want to keep it at full plate armor?
Yeah.
Okay. What weapons do you want this time? You had a broadsword and targe last time, but do you want to change it up, or do you want to keep it as is?
Let's go with the knight sword.
What the hell's a knight
And
sword? You mean a broadsword?
no, it's a thinner blade.
What's the name of it?
I don't know.
Are you talking about like the sword in the stone kind of sword, or are you talking
Yeah,
about?
kind of like that.
Oh my god, what are those swords called? I just in
I
my
don't.
brain is just thinking. I know it's not a broadsword. It's a European
No,
sword.
it's not a broadsword. It's a type of sword.
Oh,
I forget. I don't
okay.
know. I have no idea what they're called. And the knight shield to go with it.
Okay. I'm gonna call a Knights Templar sword and shield. Knights Templar sword and kite shield. We are fighting. I don't want us to fight Shinobi again because I know what happened last time. I died in your arms in your house. Well, I made it.
Um,
Well, then again, it was my fault. I made it that way. I am the narrator after all.
how about the Huns?
The Huns.
I don't know the proper name of them.
No, no, the Mongolians.
Yeah,
His
Mongolian.
a group of historically uh, accurate. You want me to just call them Huns or the Mongolians?
Just call them Mongolians. I don't. I'm pretty sure the proper name is a Mongolian.
Mongolians. Damn it, I spelled it wrong. A group of four historically accurate Mongolian. No, not Mongolias. What the hell? Damn it. Damn. Autocorrect. Alright. In this fictional scenario, blah, blah, blah. Scroll, scroll, scroll. Knights, Templar. Okay, I gotta put a space between that because I don't think the AI is gonna know what that means. Alright, you and I are both wearing full plate armor with and I'm running Mace and Shield. You're running European Sword and Shield with a Kite Shield. We are fighting historically accurate Mongolians. The battle takes place. We are okay. Okay. Mongolians fight on horseback, so in order for us to, we're gonna need equal ground footing. I'm giving us horses, dude. Hold on a second. We are on horseback. Oops, I spelled that wrong. With trained combat horses. And they don't spook. Alright, yeah, like if I'm giving us horses, I'm giving us trained combat horses that will not spook at the nearest light or whatever. Okay, my autistic, high IQ with ADD, your heavy, slender build, blah, blah, your muscular, okay. And make it sound like a story and give me okay, you know what? Hold on. In this fictional RJ, I gotta do the prompt. RJ and Jordan are equipped with full player. RJ is 38. With a heavy slim, RJ is RJ is autistic with AIQ. Jordan is 34. Jordan is 34. RJ and Jordan. Damn it. Are on horseback with trained combat horses, not combat. Alright, let's see. Just want to make sure I'm just reading this right. And is wielding a Knights Templar sword and a kite shield. I'm going to give us crossbows as well.
Repeaters or non-repeaters?
Repeater crossbows. RJ and Jordan have pistol repeater crossbows. Alright, RJ and Jordan have pistol repeater crossbows. RJ and Jordan are on horseback with trained combat horses and needle swoop. They are RJ and Jordan. Oh, that was my character. Are fighting a group of 4 historically accurate Mongolians. The battle takes place in not Upper Michigan. Fuck that.
Lower Michigan?
And no, I like Lower Michigan. I like fighting them on our terms. If we're gonna fight a group of,
said.
Yep, we're gonna fight them in your backyard again, in your property area. I like that cornfield. It's a nice cornfield. I like walking over there, looking at the nice rocks. They have some nice rocks in there. To fight in open Michigan field, in an open field in Lower Michigan in Jordan's Jordan's home in Jordan's property area. This is a battle to the death. Will my autism and ADD affect my performance, and can we win? Can we win and make it sound like a story and give me a William Shatner dialogue. Captain Kirk dialogue. Give me Captain Kirk dialogue. Captain.
Really?
Yes. Yes, really?
Really?
Yes.
Come on.
And give RJ Captain Kirk dialogue.
That's gonna be so annoying.
An autistic mind and ADD can actually enhance your... Okay. Skipping to the story part. The midday sun beat down on the wide-open, knee-high grass of Jordan's property in Lower Michigan. 4 traditionally dressed Mongolians on nimble steppe ponies circled the 2 heavily armored figures. RJ sat firm atop his massive war horse, the heavy plates of his armor glinting. He managed his grip on the heavy flanged mace, his mind whirring with tactical calculations. Beside him, Jordan, a towering, muscular 34-year-old, locked his shield in place and drew his long Templar sword. One of the riders let out a sharp cry and loosened a horn bow arrow, the shaft ricocheting harmlessly off RJ's steel plate. Captain, we're dealing with extreme agility and range superiority.
I hope you pee your pants.
My cheeks hurt.
Good.
Oh my god, dude, it's making you sound stupid. Understood, Mr. RJ.
Come on.
Ouch, ouch,
I hope you piss your pants.
My cheeks hurt. Jordan replied, his gaze locked on the approaching horseman. The open field gives him room, but it also gives us a clear charge. Let's see how they handle... Wait a minute. Understood, Mr. RJ, Jordan replied, his gaze locked... My eyes are just watering up right now. I'm sorry. I'm a terrible storyteller. Okay, I don't need my prescription glasses. Okay, maybe I do. Astigmatism's a bitch. All those lines. Understood, Mr. RJ, Jordan replied, his gaze locked on the approaching horseman. The open field gives them room, but it also gives us a clear charge. Let's see how they handle a concentrated frontal push. Hold steady. The Mongolians' riders split, 2 peeling off to the flank while the other 2 charged straight in, drawing their bows. Tactical assessment, RJ muttered, observing the trajectories. Captain, arm your pistol repeato crossbows. Focus on the right flank. I have the left.
Oh my god.
As the Mongolians galloped closer, the air whistled with whistling arrows. Whistled with whistling arrows. I feel stupid just reading that. RJ and Jordan raised their kite shields, deflecting the volley. At 20 yards, they leveled their pistol repeater crossbows. Flip, flip, flip. Steel bolts punched through the air, finding their marks through the Mongolians' light armor. 1 horse reared and the 2 riders broke formation. Their flanking maneuver instantly disrupted. Captain, now, break their center, RJ commanded. RJ spurned his warhorse forward, using his heavy, slender build to leverage his momentum. The 400-pound flange... What? 400... Okay, the 400-pound flange mace swung... Okay, there's no way in hell I'll be able to carry a 400-pound mace. That is stupid. I don't know where that came...
That's inhumanly possible.
That is not... Okay, I'm just going to call it like it is. The Flanged mace swung in a wide, devastating arc, crushing the shield of the first Mongolian warrior and knocking him clean off the saddle. Jordan followed with crushing force, his Templar's sword sweeping down to dispatch the unhorsed raiders. The two remaining Mongolians wheeled their horses, realizing their traditional hit-and-run tactics were useless against an impenetrable wall of steel and repeating firepower. RJ surveyed the field, his ADD filtering out the chaos and locking purely on the exit paths. Captain Kirk, Jordan.
Oh my god.
They are attempting to retreat and to regroup for distance volleys. I'm already regretting making him sound like that, dude. I'm sorry.
This is terrible.
It is. We must press an advantage before they can create a buffer. They fired their best shot, RJ, Jordan declared, surging forward to block the escape route. Let's finish this. With their trained combat horses holding their ground and ignored the chaos, RJ and Jordan charged the final two raiders, overwhelming them with the reach and durability of full plate armor. After RJ and Jordan killed the 4 Mongolians. No! It's Mongolians, not Mongolian. RJ looked at Jordan, saying, I'm actually going to do forced dialogue in here. But, looked at Jordan, saying, okay, apostrophe, I sound so stupid talking like Captain Kirk from Star Trek. Jordan nodded. As the two rode their horses back home, Jordan, wait, alright, hold on, let me do the thing. Just before the front door opened, Jordan said to RJ, wrong button. Damn it. You do sound dumb talking like him. And here we go. RJ smiled under his helmet, the adrenaline from the battle finally beginning to fade. Acknowledged, Captain, he joked, slipping back into his normal voice as they dismounted. The two men led their heavy war horses back at the stable, unsaddling the beasts and giving them a well-deserved rub-down. What?
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 A rub down?
I'm reading.
What the hell?
I'm just reading what it's saying. Shut up! Fucking what? The trained combat horses didn't show a single scratch, completely unfazed by the arrows that had bounced off their raiders' steel plate. RJ and Jordan carried their shields, weapons, and repeating crossbows toward the main house, their heavy boots thudding against the porch steps. Jordan reached for the brass doorknob, his massive frame still looking imposing even as he relaxed. He looked over his shoulder at RJ, a smirk playing on his face. You do sound dumb talking like him, Jordan repeated with a chuckle, pushing the front door open. RJ laughed, unlatching his gauntlets and setting them at entry there. Hey, it kept us coordinated, but yeah, let's leave the Starship dialogue on the field. RJ and I'm always pressing a Z for some reason. Jordan sat on the couch, getting ready to watch some anime on RJ suggested that they should watch Cells at work. But Jordan Jordan argued that they watch his favorite reincarnation video anime. Unfortunately, alright, this time I'm going to play this differently. Several Mongolians were spotted outside. Alright, here comes the prompt, guys. RJ let out a heavy sigh, setting the remote down on the coffee table. Fascinating, he muttered. Old habits dying hard. It seems our media consumption must be temporarily postponed. I don't sound like that. Jordan was already on his feet, his jaw set as he peered through the living room blinds. You gotta be kidding me. More of them? Right during the anime debate, out of the wide Michigan lawn, several more Mongolian riders were actively circling the perimeter, their horses' hooves tearing up the grass. The tactical situation has escalated, RJ said, his high IQ and pattern recognition immediately analyzing the threat outside. They likely tracked the first scouting party. My ADD is already mapping their search patterns across your property. We need to rearm immediately. Says at work is just going to have to wait. That Jordan grumbled, sprinting toward the entryway with her gear rested. And so is my reincarnation show. Let's go. Oh my god, that is just so much fun. Only here you get that kind of weirdness. I'm sweating a lot. They quickly buckled their full plate armor back into place, the steel clicking on the lock. RJ grabbed his heavy-flanged mason shield, checking the tension on his pistol repeater crossbow. Jordan hoisted his heavy kite shield and drew his Templar sword, his tall, muscular frame radiating pure tension. They won't expect us to hit him a second time with the same aggression, RJ noted, adjusting his visor. Captain, Jordan, let's clear the porch. Jordan threw the front door open, stepping out in the cool Michigan air with RJ right at his flank, ready for a second wave. Okay, RJ and Jordan are standing side by side like brothers in arms. The remaining Mongolians dismounted from their horses and slowly approached them. RJ and Jordan are standing side by side like brothers in arms. The remaining Mongolians dismounted from and slowly approached them. The leader of the scouting party stood in front, looking at them with mystery. Here we go, guys. RJ and Jordan stood shoulder to shoulder on the porch, a unified wall of gleaming European steel. The remaining 12 what? I did not ask for 12, but holy crap, that's a lot of Mongolians. I don't think we would be able to fight them all, but let's see what happens. The remaining 12 Mongolians dismounted from their sturdy ponies, their boots sinking into the Michigan grass as they advanced in a cautious, synchronized line. At the center of the formation stood a leader of the scouting party. He moved with a quiet, calculated grace, stepping a few paces ahead of his men. His eyes locked into the two heavily armed figures, filled with a deep, silent mystery. He didn't order an immediate attack. Instead, he studied their alien heavy plate armor, trying to read the men beneath the steel visors. Fascinating, RJ whispered under his breath, his high IQ quickly processing the shift in enemy behavior. They are abandoning the primary advantage of horse archery. Dismounting suggests a shift to heavy infantry tactics, or perhaps a psychological evaluation of our defenses. They're trying to figure us out, Jordan muttered, his large hand gripping the hilt of his Templar sword tighter as he planted his kite shield. They've never seen armor like ours, and they know what happened to the first four. The Mongolian leader halted 20 paces away, his hand resting on the hilt of his curved saber. The open field grew silent. The Mongolian leader ordered a charge into RJ and Jordan fought them with immense energy. However, RJ and Jordan don't have the stamina to continue or to fight 12 Mongolians. Alright, let's see where this goes. The Mongolian leader bared his teeth, raising his curved saber high with a sharp, guttural roar. He brought the blade down, ordering an all-out charge. 12 seasoned warriors sprinted forward, their weapons drawn, closing the 20-pace gap instantly. Brace yourself, Jordan, he shouted, his ADD instantly switching his brain into high adrenaline combat mode. The two sides collided on the edge of the porch with terrifying violence. RJ swung his heavy flanged mace in a brutal sweeping arc, the heavy steel head smashing into the lead attacker's chest, the impact echoing across his property. Beside him, Jordan used his massive muscular build to shove his kite shield forward, ramming two Mongolians backward off the steps before plunging his Templar sword deep into a third. The brothers in arms fought with immense energy, matching the ferocity of a scouting party blow to blow. RJ's high IQ allowed him to predict the angles of incoming slashes, parrying sabers with the shield and delivering a bone-crushing counters. Jordan was the whirlwind of steel, his long reach keeping the enemy from encircling them. But human endurance has strict limits. Within just a few minutes of intense, non-stop swinging, the sheer weight of their full European plate armor began to take its toll. Fighting on foot in 60 pounds of steel is an exhausting cardiovascular nightmare. RJ's breath hitched, his lungs burning as his muscles began to flood with lactic acid. Jordan's strikes, while still lethal, grew noticeably slower as he forced his heavy shield up to block another simultaneous assault from 3 different angles. They had dropped 5 of the attackers, but several remained, including the mysterious leader. The Mongolians noticed the heavy rise and fall of their knights' chests. Sensing an exhaustion creeping into the heavy armor, the remaining warriors began to cycle their attacks, intentionally pacing themselves to completely drain the 2 tired defenders. Jordan, RJ panted heavily through his visor, his arms feeling like lead as he barely deflected a strike. Stamina, depleted. We cannot sustain this output much longer. Jordan grunted, spitting blood from his lip as he stepped back, locking his shield edge against RJ's to form a desperate final wall. I'm running on fumes too, brother. We need a tactical charge fast. RJ and Jordan hit a second wind, and pure adrenaline surged into RJ and Jordan's veins. I'm not going to bed yet, damn it. I need to know where this story ends. The sudden, violent realization of mortality triggered a massive biomechanical shift in both men. A massive surge of pure adrenaline flooded RJ and Jordan's veins, completely overriding their physical exhaustion and giving them a powerful second wind. The lactic acid burning in their muscles vanished, replaced by a sudden electric burst of speed and strength. Error in their calculations, Jordan! RJ roared, his vision narrowing with hyper-focus intensity as his ADD locked into the spacing of the remaining 7 attackers. They assumed we were defeated. They assumed wrong. With a burst of speed that defied the weight of his steel plate, RJ stepped forward. I actually forgot we were wearing heavy armor. RJ stepped forward and brought his heavy flames mace down in a terrifying overhead strike. The weapon shattered a Mongolian's warrior's guard, dropping him instantly. Beside him, Jordan let out a primal battle cry, his muscular frame surging with renewed explosive power. He smashed the rim of his kite shield directly into the face of another attacker, pivoting instantly to drive his Templar steel through the armor of a second. The remaining Mongolians
retreated.
Stood back and mounted their horses and fled. But the Mongolian leader, Azorak, said he will return in pure English. This RJ and Jordan were surprised to hear that. Asarak. I gotta remember that name because he will return. All right, let's go. All right, here's the conclusion of the story, guys. The remaining Mongolian warriors, completely terrified by the sudden explosive ferocity of the night's second wind, scrambled backward down the porch steps. They sprinted to their sturdy steppe ponies, swung into their saddles, and hastily wheeled their horses around to flee down the open Michigan field. But their leader did not run with the same panic. He pulled hard on his horse's reins, forcing the beast to pace slowly at a safe distance. He turned his head back toward the porch, his mysterious gaze looking directly into the two brothers in arms. "I will return," he called out, his voice carrying clearly across the lawn. The words weren't a guttural shout in a foreign tongue. He spoke in flawless, unaccidented, pure English. RJ and Jordan stood frozen on the porch, their weapons still raised, completely paralyzed by sheer surprise. The adrenaline hummed in their ears as they stared at the retreating figure of their leader, who spurred his horse and disappeared into the tree line after his men. "Fascinating and highly improbable," RJ muttered. I do not sound like that. Okay, guys, I do not talk like that.
Yeah, you do.
No, I don't. I wish I did, though.
You do.
I wish I did. I mean, I could condition myself to talk like that, but no one would want to be around me. His ADD jumping from time travel to secret military operations. Jordan, the probability of a 13th century Mongolian scouting leader speaking fluent and modern English on your property is lower and statistically near zero. Jordan lowered his heavy kite shield, his chest still heaving as the adrenaline slowly began to recede, leaving his muscles sore. He stared blankly at the woods where the leader had vanished. His name is Azarak, Jordan said softly, parsing the name aloud, and he just threatened us in our own language. What the hell is going on here, RJ? RJ tells Jordan that we are in a thought experiment from RJ of the West. This is the conclusion of the story, guys. Jordan blinked, his hand freezing on the hilt of his Templar sword. He turned his head slowly to look at his friend. What did you just say? RJ let out a long breath, the adrenaline completely fading now as his high IQ brain snapped the final pieces of the puzzle together. His ADD hyper-focus shifted entirely away from the battlefield and onto the fundamental nature of their reality. We aren't in danger, Jordan. Not technically, RJ explained, his voice calm and entirely rational. Think about it. Chronologically misplaced 13th century warriors, flawless English from a leader named Azarak, full European plate armor matching our exact physical specifications on your property in Lower Michigan. It is statistically impossible. Jordan shook his head, leaning heavily against the porch railing. RJ, I just broke a guy's ribs with a kite shield. My arms feel like lead. This feels pretty damn real to me. A perfect simulation feels real to the participants, RJ countered, gesturing to the open field where the horses had just vanished. Jordan, we are inside a thought experiment, specifically a narrative construct generated by an entire entity known as RJ of the West. Every parameter, our armor, our weapon choices, our neurodivergent traits, and even the anime debate we were having inside was predefined before the scenario even begun. Jordan stared at him for a few seconds, the absurdity of the statement competing with the undeniable weirdness of everything that had just happened. Slowly, a smirk broke across his face. A thought experiment, huh? Jordan asked, looking down at his gleaming armor. Well, if this RJ of the West is pulling the strings, at least can he give us high-quality gear and not let us win that second round? Affirmative, RJ said, stepping back into the comfortable cadence. Though I suspect the introduction of Azarak speaking English was a narrative prompt designed to transition us into the next phase of this experiment. The question now is whether the author intends for us to find answers or we simply meant to wait the next wave. I hope you guys enjoyed this live stream, and thank you guys for watching. Have a good night, everybody. Bye.